60% than paved, when all the country roads are included. In addition, Australia has a railway network of over 38,000 kilometers. But you'll probably find it hard to believe how many airports we've got. 10? 20? 50? No, the total is 443. Of course, this includes many short runways on farms and in the outback. There are only 9 airports with runways of more than 3,000 meters.
Good afternoon, Royal Mount Hotel. How may I help you?
Hello, I'd like to book a twin room, please, for next week.
1 minute, please. I'll just check if we have one available. Yes, we do, sir. Now, I just need to take down a few details, if I may.
Yes, of course.
What name is the booking under?
My name? Duncan Jeffrey. That's Geoffrey.
Geoffrey. And could I have a contact telephone number, please?
Yes, 5762-23821.
When will you be arriving, sir?
Sometime on the evening of the 19th.
Of September?
Yes, and we'll be leaving on the 23rd. How much will that be in total?
So, that's a twin room. For a twin, it would normally be £235, but I can give you a special rate as it's low season. £210 for the 6 nights.
Great, thank you.
And how would you like to pay, sir? We accept cash, cheque or credit card.
I'll pay cash on arrival, if that's okay.
Of course, sir. We look forward to seeing you.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Phil Sutton, and I'm chairman of the Highways Committee. We've called this meeting to inform members of the public about the new regulations for traffic and parking we're proposing for Granford. I'll start by summarising these changes before we open the meeting to questions. So, why do we need to make these changes to traffic systems in Granford? Well, we're very aware that traffic is becoming an increasing problem. It's been especially noticeable with the increase in heavy traffic while they've been building the new hospital. But it's the overall rise in the volume of traffic of all kinds that's concerning us. To date, there's not been any increase in traffic accidents, but that's not something we want to see happen, obviously. We recently carried out a survey of local residents, and their responses were interesting. People were very concerned about the lack of visibility on some roads due to cars parked along the sides of the roads. We'd expected complaints about the congestion near the school when parents are dropping off their children or picking them up. But this wasn't top of the list, and nor were noise and fumes from trucks and lorries, though they were mentioned by some people. We think these new traffic regulations would make a lot of difference, but we still have a long way to go. We've managed to keep our proposals within budget, just so they can be covered by the council. But of course it's no good introducing new regulations if we don't have a way of making sure that everyone obeys them. And that's an area we're still working on with the help of representatives from the police force. OK, so this slide shows a map of the central area of Granford with the High Street in the middle and School Road on the right. Now, we already have a set of traffic lights in the High Street at the junction with Station Road, but we're planning to have another set at the other end at the School Road junction to regulate the flow of traffic along the High Street. We've decided we definitely need a pedestrian crossing. We considered putting this on School Road just outside the school, but in the end we decided that could lead to a lot of traffic congestion. So we decided to locate it on the High Street, crossing the road in front of the supermarket. That's a very busy area, so it should help things there. We're proposing some changes to parking. At present, parking isn't allowed on the High Street outside the library, but we're going to change that and allow parking there, but not at the other end of the High Street near School Road. There'll be a new no parking sign on School Road, just by the entrance to the school, forbidding parking for 25 metres. This should improve visibility for drivers and pedestrians, especially on the bend just to the north of the school. As far as disabled drivers are concerned, at present they have parking outside the supermarket, but lorries also use those spaces, so we've got 2 new disabled parking spaces on the side road up towards the bank. It's not ideal, but probably better than the present arrangement. We also plan to widen the pavement on School Road. We think we can manage to get an extra half metre on the bend just before you get to the school, on the same side of the road. Finally, we've introduced new restrictions on loading and unloading for the supermarket, so lorries will only be allowed to stop there before 8 a.m. That's the supermarket on School Road. We kept to the existing arrangements with the High Street supermarket. OK, so that's about it.
Look, here's one that might interest you.
What is it? Are you sure? The last one you sent me off to was a disaster.
Yes, look. It says they want a junior sales manager, and it looks like it's a big international company. That'd be good. You might get to travel.
What kind of company is it, though?
Let's see. Yes, it's a textile company that seems to import from abroad. That's odd, isn't it? What else? They say the salary is really good. They operate a system of paying you a basic salary and then offering sales commission on top of that. They say it's high. And, oh look, they give you a car to travel around in. Gosh, that's not bad, is it?
Do they say anything about experience?
Let's see. No. They want someone young with ambition and enthusiasm. Oh yes, they want graduates, so that's okay. You've been to university. Now what else? Let's see.
There must be some catch.
No, the only thing is you have to travel. But then that's what the company car's for. Oh, and you have to be able to get on well with other people, because it says you have to be good in a team.
Perhaps I'll have a closer look at that one.
Have you heard about the new laws to help people recycle?
I heard about them on the news last night. I don't think I like them.
The government wants to keep the environment clean by recycling paper, metal, and glass instead of throwing these things away.
But who wants to pay an extra 50 cents each time you buy a cup of coffee? That's a lot of money.
50 cents? It's only 5 cents extra for a paper cup.
I thought it was 50 cents.
No, it's only 5 cents. Don't worry, and you can get your money back when you return the cup.
That's fair. Well, maybe the government is right after all. I'll return all the paper coffee cups I use from now on.
Good. We all need to recycle. It helps to keep the environment clean.
Hi, Anne. Did you sign up for the trip on Saturday?
What trip is that? I didn't know there was a trip on Saturday.
The hiking club is going to Bear Mountain. The bus drops us off at the bottom, and we're going to hike until we get to a cabin halfway up the mountain.
That sounds really great. Where can I sign up?
Go and see Jennifer. She'll help you sign up.
What activity will we do when we get to the cabin on the mountain?
Well, it takes 7 hours to hike to the cabin, so it will be late by the time we arrive. After we unpack, we'll start a campfire. Then we can sing, eat, and tell stories around the fire. The following day, we'll leave at dawn and hike to the top of the mountain. After we take pictures, we'll hike back down. If we have time, we might go swimming in the lake on the mountain.
Those sound like really fun activities, and I can't wait to go.
Elephants are interesting. They are intelligent. They also have a great memory. You should always be kind to elephants. They remember everything. A woman from India told me a story. When she was a little girl, she knew of an evil elephant keeper. He often hit his elephant. He was very mean and cruel to the elephant. Then the evil keeper sold the elephant. The new keeper was a very kind man. Many years later, the evil keeper met the elephant again. The elephant remembered the evil man. He picked up a stone with his trunk and threw it at the evil man. The elephant still knew the man, even after so many years. Elephants help each other too. Elephants use a special sound. The sound is so low that people cannot hear it. This sound travels really far. Groups of elephants can communicate with each other, even if they are far apart. This is very useful because it helps the elephants to find water and food. The elephants cooperate to help each other.
So, what are the differences between these 4 hotels?
Well, the main difference is in the facilities they offer. The Hotel Sunshine is the only one which has a gym, and it's also got one of the top health spas in the area. It's next to a lake, so you can do water sports there. But if you really like sailing or water skiing, then the Highland Hotel would probably be the best place because it offers great instruction programs in these sports.
Actually, I'm not a sporty person.
Okay. Well, what about the Hotel Carminia? It's a brand new hotel and it prides itself on its cinema and multimedia centre. And then there's the Royal. This one has a conference room, a meeting room, and free computer access. But it's not really appropriate for children. There's not much in the way of entertainment.
Well, I'm going on holiday, not to work, and it's just my wife and me, so I think we'll book with the Hotel Carminia, please.
We've got to choose a topic for our experiment, haven't we, Jack? Were you thinking of something to do with seeds?
That's right. I thought we could look at seed germination, how a seed begins to grow.
Okay. Any particular reason? I know you're hoping to work in plant science eventually.
Yeah, but practically everything we do is going to feed into that. No, there's an optional module on seed structure and function in the 3rd year that I might do. So I thought it might be useful for that. If I choose that option, I don't have to do a dissertation module.
Good idea.
Well, I thought for this experiment, we could look at the relationship between seed size and the way the seeds are planted. So we could plant different sized seeds in different ways and see which grow best.
Okay. We'd need to allow time for the seeds to come up.
That should be fine if we start now. A lot of the other possible experiments need quite a bit longer.
So that'd make it a good one to choose. And I don't suppose it'd need much equipment. We're not doing chemical analysis or anything. Though that's not really an issue. We've got plenty of equipment in the laboratory.
Yeah, we need to have a word with the tutor if we're going to go ahead with it though. I'm sure our aim's okay. It's not very ambitious, but the assignment's only 10% of our final mark, isn't it? But we need to be sure we're the only ones doing it.
Yeah, it's only 5% actually. But it'd be a bit boring if everyone was doing it.
Did you read that book on seed germination on our reading list?
The one by Graves? I looked through it for my last experiment, though it wasn't all that relevant there. It would be for this experiment, though. I found it quite hard to follow. Lots about the theory, which I hadn't expected.
Yes, I'd been hoping for something more practical. It does include references to the recent findings on genetically modified seeds, though.
Yes, that was interesting.
I read an article about seed germination by Lee Hall.
About seeds that lie in the ground for ages and only germinate after a fire.
That's the one. I knew a bit about it already, but not about this research. His analysis of figures comparing the times of the fires and the proportion of seeds that germinated was done in a lot of detail. Very impressive.
Was that the article with the illustrations of early stages of plant development? They were very clear.
I think those diagrams were in another article.
Anyway, shall we have a look at the procedure for our experiment? We'll need to get going with it quite soon.
Right. So the first thing we have to do is find our seeds. I think vegetable seeds would be best, and obviously they mustn't all be the same size. So how many sorts do we need? About 4 different ones?
I think that would be enough. There'll be quite a large number of seeds for each one.
Then for each seed we need to find out how much it weighs and also measure its dimensions. And we need to keep a careful record of all that.
That'll be quite time-consuming. And we also need to decide how deep we're going to plant the seeds. Right on the surface, a few millimeters down, or several centimeters.
Okay, so then we get planting. Do you think we can plant several seeds together in the same plant pot?
No, I think we need a different one for each seed.
Right. And we'll need to label them. We can use different coloured labels. Then we wait for the seeds to germinate. I reckon that'll be about 3 weeks, depending on what the weather's like. Then we see if our plants have come up and write down how tall they've grown.
Then all we have to do is look at our numbers and see if there's any relation between them.
That's right. So then we can...
Now, could you tell us more about what you do in your department? I mean, what research are you actually doing at the moment?
We're trying to find out as much as we can about dreams. There's one area that we're particularly interested in at the moment, and that is what we call directed dreaming.
Directed dreaming? What is that exactly?
Let me explain. You know, sometimes, if you're having a dream and you wake up in the middle of it, you can sometimes go back to sleep again and go back to the dream.
Yes.
Well, that is similar to what we call directed dreaming. Now, what I was talking about is a fairly common experience, but real directed dreamers are people who have always complete control over what they dream because they actually know what they're dreaming.
They can dream what they want?
Yes, nearly.
Can anyone develop this ability?
Well, that's one of the things that we would like to find out. At our centre, we have in fact got 3 people who are very reliable and who can have these directed dreams quite regularly.
And what sort of experiments do you do with them?
Well, a few weeks ago, we thought it would be interesting to see if there was any way that these 3 regular dreamers could communicate with each other in a directed dream while they were sleeping. So one night, we arranged for them all to stay at the centre. Then we asked the 3 of them, there were 2 men and a woman, we asked them all to go to a pub that they all knew quite well, down by the river, and asked them if they started dreaming to go down there and try to find each other.
In the dream? Or 3 dreams?
Yes. So, they all went off to sleep, and the next morning we interviewed them all separately and asked them what they had seen. The 2 men had had dreams and could remember them, and they both said that they had been to the pub and had seen each other and had had a talk. But also, both of them said that they hadn't seen the woman, and we thought that was a bit odd. And then we talked to her, and she told us that she hadn't had a dream at all that night, or she couldn't remember it anyway.
Fascinating. So both of the men said she hadn't appeared in their dreams, and that was because she hadn't in fact been dreaming.
Yes, though of course it could just be a coincidence. But that's the kind of thing that we're trying to find out more about.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Border. It's been fascinating talking to you.
Thank you.
Autumn or fall is the season between summer and winter. The days become shorter and the air gets cooler. Trees sense these changes, so they start preparing for colder weather. Trees that have leaves block water and food from coming through the branches to the leaves. When this happens, the leaves die. They fall off the tree or the wind blows them away. This is why autumn is usually called fall in America. As the leaves start to die, they appear to change from green to red, yellow, orange, or brown. Actually, the leaves are really these colors all year long. They look green because of a chemical called chlorophyll. Chlorophyll works with the sun to help the trees make food. In autumn, when there is less sun, the tree cannot make chlorophyll, so the green color fades. This reveals other colors, like red and yellow, that were always in the leaves. Like trees, animals also sense changes in the cooler autumn climate. Animals that hibernate eat a lot during autumn. They gain weight to store energy in the form of fat. They use this energy to survive the winter while hibernating. Many birds survive the cold in a different way. They leave. Each year, many birds migrate south to warmer climates during autumn. They migrate north again in the spring. Not a bad idea if you ask me. After all, who would refuse a midwinter trip to sunny Thailand?
So, there's a great walking tour tomorrow morning. Or tomorrow night, we could go on a cruise round the harbour. What do you think, John?
Well, we've got theatre tickets for tonight, so we'll be too tired for the walking tour in the morning. But I don't fancy the cruise either.
Why not? It'll be fun. Look, it's a dinner cruise and it's only $12 each.
I hate the sea, and I'll be sick with fear if the waves are big. And dinner? On a boat? I just couldn't.
But we'll be in the harbour.
Still. What about this? There's a bus tour tomorrow evening. It's only $5.50 and goes all around the main tourist sites.
Yeah, that sounds okay, but I'd much rather...
Where shall we eat tonight?
Well, there are plenty of options. The guide says this city has hundreds of restaurants. What kind of food would you like to have, John?
Well, I quite like seafood. There's the Captain's Table on Firth Street. The guide gives it 4 stars.
I don't know. The hotel receptionist told me the service is slow. But if you like seafood, there are a couple more places in the guide.
Yes. Mangan's or Joe's Cafe. What about those, Sam?
Mangan's could be a good option. It's nicer than Joe's Cafe, and there are fantastic views as well. We'd probably pay a bit extra. Joe's Cafe is much cheaper. But we're on holiday. I think we should splash out.
That sounds great. Oh no. Hold on, it's closed tonight. Oh, what a shame. Shall we go to Joe's Cafe then?
Yes, I suppose we'll have to. I'll give them a call and book a table. Can I use your phone?
No. Sorry, I've left my phone in the hotel. We can ask the receptionist to do it. Let's go back now and sort it out. We can get changed and have a drink before dinner if you like.
Okay, good idea.
Good afternoon. Welcome to you, new entrants to the graduate school. My job now is to give you the graduate school survival guide and make some concise suggestions for getting the most out of your relationship with our research supervisor, getting the most out of what you read, and making continual progress with your research. First, your relationship with your supervisor. This is fundamental. Meet regularly. You should expect to meet once a week or at least every other week, because this will give you the motivation to make progress and also keeps your advisor aware of your work. Prepare for your meetings. Come to each meeting. Also, bring the notes from your previous meeting together with a list of any upcoming deadlines. Make a plan for what you hope to get out of each meeting. After the meeting, email your supervisor a brief summary. Include a list of major topics discussed, a list of what you agreed on, a note of any advice you may not want to follow, and a new summary of what you are planning to do. This helps avoid misunderstandings and provides a handy record of the progress of your research. Add a to-do list for yourself and your supervisor, including a reading list. Finally, add the time and date for the next meeting. My second main piece of advice is to keep your supervisor informed. Show him or her the results of your work as soon as possible. This helps your supervisor understand your research and identify any potential points of conflict early in the process. Include summaries of your work, including any results of experiments, and also anything you write about your research. Thirdly, communicate clearly. If you disagree with your advisor, state your objections and concerns clearly and calmly. If you feel that something about your relationship is not working, discuss it with him or her. Whenever possible, suggest steps that they could take to address your concerns. Under this heading, it is extremely important to take the initiative. You do not need to clear everything you do in your research with your advisor. He or she is busy too. You must be responsible for your own ideas and the progress of your work. The second section of my talk is about getting the most out of what you read. The first principle here is to be organized. Keep an electronic bibliography with notes and pointers to the paper files. Keep and file all the papers you have read. Point 2. Be efficient. Only read what you need to. Start by reading only the conclusion, scanning figures and tables, and looking at their references. Read the other sections only if the paper seems relevant or you think it might help you get a different perspective. Skip the sections you think you already understand. These are often the background and motivation sections. It's of critical importance to take good notes on every paper you find worth reading. Note especially what problem the author is trying to solve, what approach they take to the problem, and how their approach differs from other approaches. Next, summarize what you have read on each topic. After you have read several papers on the same topic, note the key problems, the various formulations of the problem under consideration, the relationship between the various approaches and the alternative approaches you come across. Let me add one point you might not have already thought of. Read PhD theses. Even though they are long, they can be very helpful for quickly learning about what has been done in your field of interest. Focus particularly on the background sections and method sections. Don't forget to read your advisor's thesis. This will give you an idea of what he or she expects from you. The third section of my talk is about making continual progress with your research. Keep a journal of your ideas. Write down every issue you are thinking about, even if you think it is stupid. This will help you keep track of your progress and keep you from going round in circles. Set yourself some reasonable goals and deadlines. Identify key tasks that need to be completed. Set a reasonable date for completing them, in terms of weeks or months. Share your goals and deadlines with your advisor. Indeed, enlist his or her help in creating them. Set some deadlines that you cannot avoid keeping. For example, volunteer to give a student seminar on your research or work towards the submission deadline for a conference paper. Once you have set your goals and deadlines, keep a to-do list. Checking off the items on a to-do list can feel very rewarding when you are working on a long-term project. Discuss your research with anyone who will listen. They may have useful insights. At least you will find that putting your ideas into words helps clarify them for yourself. Next point, write about your work. In the early stages, write short idea papers and share them with your advisor and colleagues. Later on, look for workshops and conferences where you can submit your preliminary results. When your work is nearing completion, Target relevant journals. Finally, some points about handling yourself. A key objective is to avoid distractions. It is easy to waste time taking too many classes, teaching classes, organizing student activities, etc. Minimize these commitments and make a list of small tasks which can be done in about an hour. Pick at least one that can be completed each day and make sure you do it. Finally, and this concludes my talk, confront your fears and weaknesses. If you are nervous about speaking in public, volunteer to give talks. If you are afraid your ideas are stupid, discuss them with someone. If you are anxious about writing, write something about your research every day. That's it. Welcome to graduate school.
Hello, how can I help you?
Hello. Is it possible to book a bus tour of the city here?
Of course, sir. When would you like to take the tour? There are tours in the morning, afternoon and evening. Sometimes it's nice to see the city at night with the buildings lit up.
We'll be going out for dinner tonight, so we prefer to go this afternoon. Oh, and it's for 2 people.
Right. Now, I just need some details. Can you give me the names of the 2 people, please?
Yes, Susan Field and James Carter.
Susan Field and James... Sorry, can you spell your surname for me, please?
It's Carter. C-A-R-T-E-R.
Thank you. And can I have a contact telephone number?
Why do you need one?